it happened. Rome conquered the known world: Egypt, Greece, Mesopotamia, Carthage, the greatest empire the West had ever seen, and barely invented anything. Democracy, Greece; writing, Mesopotamia; monumental architecture, Egypt; mathematics, the Olmecs. Rome took all of that, organized it, expanded it, dominated with it, but didn't create, because Rome was an empire, not a civilization. And the difference between the two, it changed the world. Many times, let me show you how. Civilization creates, empire expands. Simple as that. Civilization invents writing, laws, architecture, religion, mathematics. Empire takes those inventions, organizes an army, and carries them elsewhere by force. In the beginning, every civilization starts small: a fertile river, a group of people, a problem to solve. How do we feed everyone? How do we record what belongs to whom? How do we speak to the gods? Solutions became culture. Culture became civilization. Then civilization grows. More people, more food, more power, and then comes the temptation. Why stop here? A leader looks at the horizon, sees other lands, other people, other resources, and decides, let's take it. Army marches, conquers, imposes language, laws, taxes. Civilization became empire. The difference is not size, not power, it's direction. Civilization looks inward. What can we create? Empire looks outward. What can we take? The greatest moments in human history, always civilization. The greatest collapses, always empire. Greece, the civilization that invented democracy, philosophy, and science, and then produced the greatest conqueror the ancient world had ever seen. Athens, 5th century BC. Golden Age, Socrates questioning everything, Plato writing, Aristotle systematizing knowledge, Parthenon built, democracy working, civilization at its peak. Then Aristotle had a student, son of the king of Macedon, Alexander, 13 years old when he began to learn. I read the accounts of this boy. He absorbed everything: philosophy, medicine, mathematics, art. Alexander was 20 years old when he became king and used everything he learned to conquer. 334 BC, army of 35,000 men marches east. Persia, Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, 5 million square kilometers in 10 years, never lost a battle. But Alexander did something different from other conquerors. He didn't destroy. He carried Greek culture with him. Alexandria in Egypt, library, museum, academy. Greek became the universal language of the Mediterranean. The New Testament was written in Greek, not Hebrew, because Alexander made Greek the language of the cultured world. Alexander proves the paradox. The best of Greek civilization was spread across the world by an emperor. Sometimes empire serves civilization, sometimes it destroys it. The difference is who holds power and what they do with it. Rome, 800 years of republic and empire, greatest military power of the Western world, and a cultural legacy almost entirely borrowed from others. Rome started as a city-state, 753 BC, 7 hills on the Tiber River, Republic 509 BC, Senate, consuls, written laws, Law of the 12 Tables, 450 BC, first Roman legal code, inspired directly by the Code of Hammurabi from Mesopotamia. Rome conquered Italy, then Carthage, then Greece, then Egypt, then Mesopotamia, and each conquest brought something. Greece gave art, philosophy, literature. Egypt gave engineering and religion. Mesopotamia gave legal systems. A Roman soldier enters Athens, sees Greek sculptures, takes them to Rome, sees Greek temples, copies them for Rome, sees Greek gods, renames them for Rome. Zeus became Jupiter, Ares became Mars, Hermes became Mercury. Romans were aware of this. Horace wrote 20 BC. Captive Greece conquered its fierce conqueror. They knew they were taking culture, but Rome added something of its own. Engineering, roads, aqueducts, concrete, 80,000 kilometers of paved roads, 11 aqueducts supplying Rome with 1 billion liters of water every single day. Rome proves you don't need to create to dominate, you need to organize, scale, distribute. Rome didn't invent democracy, but it carried concepts of law and governance to every corner of Europe that changed the world more than the original ideas. The Mongols, the largest contiguous empire in history, 33 million square kilometers, and they didn't build a single city. Genghis Khan, 1162. Born on the steppes of Mongolia, nomad, no writing, no cities, no agriculture, only horses and the skill of war. 1206. He unified the Mongol tribes and began to conquer China, Persia, Russia, Eastern Europe. 40 million people killed, 10% of the world population at the time. Baghdad, 1258. Capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. Intellectual center of the Islamic world. Library of Baghdad. Thousands of manuscripts. The Mongols arrived, burned everything. They say the Tigris River ran black with ink from so many books thrown into the water. But Genghis Khan did something surprising. He didn't impose religion, didn't impose language. He respected craftsmen and intellectuals, didn't kill them, moved them. Chinese engineers building Mongol catapults, Persian mathematicians managing finances. The Mongol Empire created Pax Mongolica. 200 years of peace on trade routes. The Silk Road worked. Marco Polo traveled it. Trade from China reached Europe. Europe became addicted to Asian spices. That led to the age of exploration. Columbus looking for a route to India. The Mongols, indirectly, led to the discovery of the Americas. The Mongols were the greatest empire, but they were not a civilization. They didn't invent, didn't create, they destroyed and redistributed. Empires without civilization leave ruins. Civilizations without empires leave ideas. While Europe lived through the Dark Ages, a caliphate preserved all Greco-Roman knowledge and added its own. The Abbasid Caliphate, Baghdad, 8th century. 622 AD, Muhammad founds Islam in just 100 years. Arabia, Persia, Egypt, North Africa, Spain, the fastest expansion of any religion or empire. The House of Wisdom, Library and Academy. Mission, translate everything. Greek, Persian, Indian, Egyptian, Aristotle in Arabic, Euclid in Arabic, Hippocrates in Arabic. Scholars paid in gold equivalent to the weight of the books translated. Al-Khwarizmi, 820 AD. Invented algebra. Algebra comes from Arabic, al-jabr. Algorithm comes from the name Al-Khwarizmi. Ibn Sina, 1025 AD. Canon of Medicine, a medical encyclopedia used in Europe for 600 years. The European Renaissance, 14th through 17th centuries, drank directly from Islamic texts. European universities studied Aristotle, translated from Arabic. When power is used to preserve and create knowledge, civilization survives the empire and time. The Mongols conquered China, 120-71. Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis, ruled for 100 years, and in the end China absorbed the Mongols. The Mongols arrived in China as conquerors, devastated northern China. Kublai Khan established the Yuan dynasty, a Mongol governing China, but China had 4,000 years of culture, writing, philosophy, bureaucracy, art. Kublai Khan needed to administer 100 million Chinese. How with Chinese bureaucracy, Chinese writing, Chinese officials, Confucian Chinese system? The Mongols dominated militarily. China dominated culturally. Yuan dynasty lasted 97 years. Then came the Ming dynasty, Chinese. And the Mongols in China, they had become Chinese. Same pattern with the Manchus, 17th century. Conquered China, became Chinese in 3 generations. China proves the most important principle. Deep civilization is stronger than empire. You can conquer territory. You cannot conquer culture. 4,000 years of Chinese identity. Survived every invader. Civilization defeats empire, always, in the long run. The British Empire, the largest in modern history. 35 million square kilometers, 25% of the planet. The sun never sets on the British Empire. And what did it leave? Britain, 17th century. A small island, but excellent navy, and the Industrial Revolution arriving. First, trade, then control, then conquest. India, Africa, Australia, Americas, Asia, 450 million people under British rule. In 1920. India, 150, 70,000 British, administering 300 million Indians. How? By creating an Indian elite educated in English that administered other Indians on behalf of the British. 1947. India independent, 1957 through 1990. Africa independent. Empire ended. But the English language 1.5 billion speakers today. British legal system in 30 or more countries. The British Empire proves you can lose territory, but language and legal system are embedded civilization. And civilization doesn't need an army to keep spreading. It spreads on its own. You think empires are the past. They're not. They just changed form. United States 1945 emerged from World War II as the only intact superpower and did something different from all previous empires. Didn't conquer territory, conquered systems. Dollar as global reserve currency. IMF. World Bank, UN headquartered in New York. NATO. You are anywhere in the world. You find Coca-Cola, you find jeans, you find American music, without a soldier in every city. This has a name, soft power, power without force. China responded with its own strategy. Belt and Road Initiative. 150 or more countries. Not with culture, with infrastructure, roads, ports, railways. Whoever builds your infrastructure controls your future. Mesopotamia knew this. Rome knew this. China knows this. The US and China are competing. But why? Because both want to be the civilizational reference, not just military power. Two empires, two visions of civilization. Do you see the pattern? Every civilization that became empire faced the same choice. Use power to create or use power to take. Alexander used conquest to spread Greek philosophy. Rome used conquest to scale laws and engineering. The Mongols used conquest to destroy and redistribute. The Islamic Caliphate used conquest to preserve and create knowledge. China survived every conqueror because deep civilization defeats shallow empire. The British lost territory, but language and legal systems still govern half the world. The US and China today don't compete for land. They compete for minds. The difference between empire and civilization, empire lasts as long as it has force. Civilization lasts as long as it has ideas. Rome fell in 476 AD, but you speak a language derived from Latin. You follow laws derived from Roman law. You live in cities with Greco-Roman architecture. Rome died. The civilization it carried never died. And that's why the question is not, which empire was the greatest? The question is, what are you building that survives you? It happened, with all of them. It's happening now.